fraction of the kind of money in many different ways that Mexico takes in from the United States. The wall is a fraction. You know, you're talking about a $10 billion wall. You're talking about a trade deficit with Mexico of $58 billion, and probably going to get worse if they run it. If I run it, there won't be a trade deficit.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's Donald Trump, who today said that he would make Mexico pay for the wall. I'm oversimplifying it, kind of, by threatening to cut off the ability of Mexicans in this country to send money back to their families and others in Mexico. And Obama has derided that, as well as others. Joining us now is Congressman Steve King, Republican from the great state of Iowa, and member of the House Subcommittee on Immigration and Border Security. Hello, Congressman.
Hello, Steve. It's great to be reconnected again.
Yes, it always is. All right, so before we get to tonight in Wisconsin and what you expect, what's your take on Donald Trump's plan to get Mexico to build the wall?
Well, you know, I'm torn between two fires there, but part of me says let's let that dialogue go for a while and see how that works, because of that money that's being transferred from the United States to Mexico and Central America and Southern America, South America, and parts of it, I suspect that a good chunk of that is laundered drug money, that 80 to 90% of the illegal drugs consumed in America come from or through Mexico, and a lot of that money gets sent back down there and wired back down there, and we had just almost no effort to interdict that money that's flowing back to fund the drug cartels. So I'd like to see Donald Trump go a little further with this dialogue and see what we might be able to get done. Interesting.
Okay, very interesting. So you don't rule it out of hand the way the president and others have on the other side. So talk about tonight. I'm sure you'll agree, Cruz has to do very well. He has to win. And if Trump should pull this out, everybody goes home.
Well, yeah, there's so much invested in this on the part of Cruz and also Kasich that I just expect that. I expect Ted Cruz wins Wisconsin tonight, and the numbers I'm looking at, with the exception of one poll, all come back to tell me that, and the energy and the focus that's there tells me that. But under the hypothesis that you posed, I don't think we can presume that the race would be over. Although there'd be some retooling going on, and there'd be a new strategy that would be put together. And I don't know how that map would look, but I think there'll be Cruz momentum tonight. I think the lion's share of those delegates are going to go to Ted Cruz tonight, and that puts him significantly closer to Donald Trump. And my sense is, as we're watching the delegates position themselves to actually run before the district conventions in Iowa as soon as Saturday, now those delegates are not selected in many of the states yet. And so as they are, they're going to be professing that on a second ballot at the convention, who they would support on a second ballot, and that's going to be one of the ways they get elected as delegates. So,
that's not to interrupt, but that's the whole thing. And correct me if I'm wrong. Cruz says to Kasich, get out, because we got to let the will of the people. It's got to be me or Trump. You've won one state, you're going to lose 49. You got to get out. On the other hand, Cruz can't realistically expect, with New York coming up and Pennsylvania, they can't realistically expect to get 1, 2, 3, 7, whether or not Trump does or not. Cruz knows he can't. So on one hand, he wants Kasich out because you can't do it. On the other hand, Cruz says, I'm staying in because I'm hoping for a first ballot with nobody gets it, and that I'll get defected delegates on the second go-around. I mean, isn't that Cruz's strategy?
Well, his strategy, of course, is to get to the convention with the majority of the delegates, and I think he has to have about 85% of the delegates going forward. That's a steep hill, I agree. But it's also very, very difficult for Donald Trump to get there if he doesn't do very well in Wisconsin tonight. And so you can argue that either way, but in the end, the rules of the convention are you have to get to the convention and you have to win the majority of the delegates. And what we're looking at is something that's, you got to say, unique in our political history, and that is because they changed the rules in 2012 because of Ron Paul's involvement.
Right.
They set the rules up in such a way that the delegates that are elected, except for a few of them, will have their ballot cast for them without really having a voice on the first vote. The first vote is an automatic vote. And so I think that if we're going to reflect the will of the delegates, which is what the convention is about, then we're going to have to see a second ballot. And on that second ballot, I think you see Cruz pick up a lot of steam, and he could conceivably win it on a second ballot, but a subsequent ballot, odds go to Cruz instead of Trump. So he's playing by the rules. As long as Trump's playing by the rules, let's support the nominee that is produced by the rules.
Well, we have to support the nominee, even if it turns out to be neither of the above that we've discussed, because, you know, they're talking about they're talking about going at, you have, I think, 17 states attorneys general going at, want to criminalize talking about climate change, just saying it's not real. They want to put people in jail. I mean, if Hillary gets to be president and pick the Supreme Court, freedom of speech is gone, you name it, it's a different country. Congressman, always great to talk to you. We'll speak to you after Iowa and after Wisconsin and see what's next, okay?
Let's do that and save our Constitution together, Steve.
Absolutely. Thank you. We both could name Steve, so we could do that. All right, folks, Give Me 5 is next. Don't miss it.